This week is Reading Africa Week 2024. I am going to be reading from this book, which is just this undiscovered treasure. It's called Ndima Ndima. You'll see why, by Tsitsi Mapepa. And she is from Zimbabwe. And the world building that she does is unbelievably beautiful. This is chapter 2, The Kiss of Death. Zuva had promised to teach her daughter a lot of things, so Nyeredzi followed the steps of her mother the same way their neighbors did. Since Zuva was the only one who started clearing the bush and everyone else was scared to death to do so, it was as if this land belonged to her, as though she'd known all along what she was going to do with it, as though her ancestors buried under the red clay were guiding her to her own destination. Zuva would dig holes with a hoe to mark her territory, and that way the neighbors would know the place was taken. She rubbed a handful of clay soil in her palms to see how dense it was and rich in color, to determine if it was worth growing something in that area. This was new territory for Nyeredzi. Sometimes she'd learn by asking her mother a lot of questions. "What do you think, Mama? Is it good soil?" she asked, rubbing the soil in her palms too. "It's all right. The land is fertile, but it will still need a boost with the fertilizer." Zuva paused, sniffing the soil. "When it comes to maize crops, it's a little bit weak." "I love the soil. It's red. So red, Mama." "Yes, it looks beautiful, but we're going to use the soil for what it's meant to be used for. We're going to grow maize here." "More like a garden?" "No, more like a farm." "Oh, a farm in the bush?" "Yes, in this bush," Zuva answered. Nyeredzi had seen farms before. Behind their suburb in Marondera, the farmlands were so huge she had to squint to see where the boundary was. Plus, they didn't have rocks, nor thick grass that was difficult to get rid of, or tree roots that had taken over beneath the land. On their old street in Marondera, they had neighbors who owned farms. Mr. Davidson grew tobacco, Mr. Crockett planted maize and groundnuts, and Mrs. Donna specialized in potatoes and mushrooms. All these farmers had employees who helped them, but her mother was about to start on her own. Even though Nyeredzi and her sisters were there, they were inexperienced. Nyeredzi had seen Zuva gardening behind their old house, but she never thought her mother could cultivate a large piece of land like that. Reading Africa 2024, Ndima Ndima. Check it out.